Today's secret organizations. What is their history and who created them? Or why was it created? Our trip today carries shocking information about an organization that you may have heard of, or perhaps you do not know. It is said that it is the origin of the so-called Knights Templar. At that time, it was one of his biggest secrets, and who knows? Perhaps it still is today. But the biggest controversy is the goal of this brotherhood. As for who its members are here, you will certainly be shocked. The episode that many of you have been waiting for. Dire Zion or the Brotherhood of Zion? My friends, followers, our episode today may be one of the most controversial episodes of all that we have presented. A topic that has raised and still raises many questions about its authenticity, or not, a topic that is considered thorny to discuss due to the shocking matters contained in the details of this topic. Our topic today is about an organization or fraternity, more correctly, an organization or brotherhood, which is not like other fraternities. This brotherhood, with its basic principle, undermines the most prominent beliefs of the Catholic Church and Christianity in general. This organization is also linked to a controversial organization. I will not be long for you, my friends. Let us begin our journey and learn more. On the Priory of Zion Monastery, or as it is known as the Priory of Sioux, before starting the episode, my friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Let's start our journey. In 1975, when manuscripts written on pieces of animal skin were discovered in the French National Library. By coincidence, what these manuscripts contain within their folds is the strangest. These manuscripts take us back to ancient times and to something related to Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. The most recent of these manuscripts, which date back to the 19th century, tell us that a French monk named François Saunière discovered these manuscripts in a church in one of the French villages, according to books that dealt with this subject, most notably the book The Holy Blood in the Holy Grail, published in 1982. The monk ordered the removal of the altar stone in the church in 1891 for the purpose of restoring it, only to discover inside one of the supports of this stone 4 manuscripts placed in wooden tubes, and old. According to the dates written on the manuscripts date back to between 1244 and 1780. What these manuscripts contained is what raised astonishment and opened the door to research widely. According to these manuscripts, it was in the year 1099, after Jerusalem fell into the hands of the Crusader forces. During First Crusade, an organization was founded by some European kings and called the Brotherhood of Zion Monastery. The Brotherhood and its headquarters were established on the ruins of an old monastery called the Monastery of Our Lady of Mount Zion, which later turned out to have been intentional because the new and old Brotherhood were founded on the same belief, which I will tell you about in the course of the episode, so we can follow the location of this old monastery. According to Catholic belief, the ascension of the Virgin Mary to heaven occurred. So far, everything is normal and nothing strange. The strangeness lies in the ultimate goal and most prominent belief of this brotherhood. The goal that the organization announced at the beginning of its founding was to protect Christians and their property in Jerusalem. But its undeclared goal was the following. Listen carefully. Protecting the most prominent symbol in Christianity, the Holy Grail. However, the Holy Grail in this brotherhood is radically different from what is known. This brotherhood believes that the Holy Grail is not a material thing, but rather human in a clearer sense. The Holy Grail is the bloodline of Christ, that is, his descendants. Yes, as you have heard, of course, all of us across all religions know that Jesus Christ did not marry. Therefore, he has no descendants. However, the Brothers of Zion Monastery have a different opinion. According to the manuscripts, this brotherhood asserts that Jesus Christ married one of his most prominent followers and students, called Mary Magdalene. According to the beliefs of this brotherhood, Jesus Christ gave birth to at least one child from Mary Magdalene. And after the tragedy of the crucifixion and the resurrection of Christ, after that, Mary Magdalene fled to Europe, specifically France recently, taking with her the child or children of Christ. According to the manuscripts that document the nature and beliefs of this association, Mary Magdalene lived within a Jewish community without declaring her true identity or the identity of her children. The descendants of Christ began to intermarry and reproduce with others until the 5th century, Gregorian. It happened in this century that one of the people of holy blood, that is, a granddaughter of Christ, and Mary Magdalene married one of the first kings of France, descended from the ancient Israelites. The descendants of this new family, descendants of Christ and the children of Israel, were the Merovingian kings and were the first to rule France and large parts of Europe from the 5th century AD to the 8th century AD. During their rule, the Crusades began and Jerusalem fell into their hands. The fraternity of Zion Monastery was created to protect the highest, unspoken goal. If you are wondering who this fraternity wants to protect this lineage from, the answer will be a surprise. According to the manuscripts, the most prominent danger to this sacred lineage is the Christians themselves, and even the highest Christian authority. Here I mean the Catholic Church and the papacy in general. After the ascension of Christ, the leadership of Christians went to St. Peter because there was no blood heir to Christ. Then the papacy continues to this day. Therefore, the fraternity believes that the emergence of this line will pull the rug from under the feet of the Church and all the privileges enjoyed by its members, and will return the right to the blood descendants of Christ, something that the Church will not submit to and therefore will undoubtedly seek to end this line. Therefore, for the purpose of protecting the sacred lineage, the Brotherhood of Zion Monastery established what may be called the military wing of the Brotherhood. Do you now know who I am talking about? Yes, the Knights Templar established the Knights Templar Brotherhood and was able to obtain the approval of the Catholic Church, as it convinced the Church that the purpose of the Knights Templar it is to protect Christian pilgrims and serve the interests of the Church and others. The Knights' undeclared goal was to protect the descendants of Christ from the Catholic Church with their lives. The Knights Templar were destroyed and dissolved in 1307 by the Catholic Church. Here the role of the Knights Templar ended, or so it was said. Consequently, the Brotherhood of Zion Monastery or the Priory of Sion disappeared from sight. Perhaps because their secret was revealed, she continued to work for 600 years in the shadows to achieve her goals. In addition to protecting the sacred line, the Brotherhood aimed to establish a unified European empire that would include all of Europe, and to replace the Catholic Church and its belief with a belief based on sacred blood. Thus, the descendants of Christ, the prominent unified European empire, claim that these manuscripts did not mention anything about what happened after 600 years, nor even about the fate and continuity of this brotherhood. If what I told you has aroused your curiosity, wait to learn about the most prominent members of this brotherhood, as these names will definitely shock you. According to one of the manuscripts, many prominent intellectual and scientific figures belong to this brotherhood, and they were called the Great Teachers. Among the most prominent of them is the well-known and most famous painter, Leonardo da Vinci, the owner of the famous Mona Lisa. This painter belonged to the brotherhood in the last 9 years of his life, that is, from the year 1510 to the year 1519. And even more than that, one of Da Vinci's most famous paintings, which is The Last Supper, is considered a reference. Because of his beliefs, researchers say that one of the characters in the painting has female features, and she is the one leaning next to Jesus Christ. This character is Mary Magdalene, and the Holy Grail is her womb. This matter was confirmed by writer Dan Brun in his famous book, The Da Vinci Code. I think you have seen this famous movie, right? The famous astrologer Nostradamus, author of the Book of Predictions, which is considered one of the major references in astronomy and astrology, also belonged to the Brotherhood from the year 1556 until the year of his death, the year 1566. One of the most prominent physicists and mathematicians of all time, and to this day his theories are taught in schools all over the world. He is also one of the senior teachers of this fraternity. This teacher is Isaac Newton, who joined the Brotherhood in the year 1691 and remained there until his death in 1727. The prominent writer, author of the novel Les Miserables, and one of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo, was also a teacher affiliated with the Brotherhood from the year 1844 until his death in the year 1885. I will be satisfied with this number of names, but I will tell you something that surprised me. While I was reading this list, which consists of 39 names, something important caught my eye. All new members or teachers, their membership date starts from the same date of death of the teacher whose last name preceded them. On this list is Pierre Plantud. Remember this name well, as it has a pivotal role in our episode. This Pierre joined the Brotherhood in 1963, and his affiliation ended in 1981, but not due to death, as all the great teachers preceded him. The man died in the year 2000. As for the reason for withdrawal, it is simply not mentioned in the manuscript. However, from the context of the episode, you will be able to deduce the reason why the manuscripts ended without explaining what happened to the Brotherhood, which continued until the end of the 20th century, according to the dates contained in them. Of course, these manuscripts and the entire Brotherhood aroused the anger and disapproval of the Catholic Church, which considered them empty and baseless heresies. Jesus Christ did not marry, nor did he have a child, so everything mentioned previously was inferred from manuscripts in the French National Library only. Strange. Some will say that it may be true due to the presence of known dates and names, especially since the topic was mentioned in more than one famous book. But what if I told you that the topic has a completely other side? Even these manuscripts are just an elaborate hoax? Listen carefully, this is our next stop. Do you remember Pierre Plantud, the last teacher named in the Brotherhood, according to one of the manuscripts? Well, this Pierre is the hero of all this chaos. The story goes back to the year 1956, when Pierre Plantud created an association and registered it with the French authorities under the name of the Brotherhood of Zion. The association was a social and charitable association, according to Pierre, and it even took the Catholic belief as its reference and worked with the local church in the area to which it belonged. As for the name, Pierre says that it is derived from Mount Sion, which is close to the city in which Pierre lived. This association included only 3 individuals, in addition to Pierre, namely André Bonhomme. He served as president of the association, while Pierre served as secretary of the association. What is interesting is that Pierre met André in prison when he was serving his sentence, and the charge between them was fraud. We continue with the members of the association, which was joined by Robert Sharrow, an unknown writer who strongly believes that aliens visited Earth and deposited enormous knowledge there. The 4th member is Philippe de Sérisy, an activist in the Surrealist movement who met Pierre. At the beginning of 1960, Pierre read a book by a writer called Gérard Deside. This book talks about the sudden wealth of a French monk. Do you know who the monk is? Yes. It is François Saunière, who discovered the 4 manuscripts. According to the book, the monk found in his church a hidden treasure belonging to one of the ancient queens of Europe, and thus he became extremely wealthy. The character of this monk suggested something strange to Pierre, so the Brotherhood turned into a religious brotherhood that claimed to be the ink for the ancient monastery of Zion. What is strangest of all is that Pierre declared himself the last teacher of this brotherhood, whose goal became to protect the Merovingian dynasty. He even claimed that he descended from this dynasty. If this shocks you, listen to the following. Pierre, with the assistance and implementation of Philippe de Sérisy, forged the manuscripts and even planted them in the French National Library. This information is not rumors or hearsay, but rather the product of police investigations, which found hundreds of letters in Pierre's house confirming that he invented the Brotherhood and how he seeks to make it a big sensation, and even the names of the great teachers that he and his partners wrote on manuscripts in the house of his partner, Philippe. The police found papers from the same type of paper was used for the manuscripts. Pierre admitted that he had made up the whole story. Do you remember André Bonhomme, who served as president of the fraternity? He said in a telephone interview in one of the televised interviews in 1995 that the Brotherhood no longer existed and confirmed that they founded the Brotherhood for fun and nothing was their intention, and that he had not seen Pierre for 20 years. André confirmed in the interview that Pierre is a person with a great imagination, which is the same description that the French authorities gave to Pierre, considering him an imaginary person. Studies and research. I emphasize 2 things. The first is that there is no mention or existence of the Brotherhood of Zion at all before the year 56, and the entire manuscripts at most date back 40 years. So we turn out that the entire story is a hoax by Pierre and his partners, including the ancient manuscripts. However, despite Pierre's admission, a number of writers such as Michel Piagenet, Richard Lee, Henry Lincoln, the authors of Holy Blood and Holy Green. Dan Brun, author of the book The Da Vinci Code, confirms that the Brotherhood is real and that the sacred lineage exists. Indeed, in the introduction to his book, The Da Vinci Code, and on a separate page, Brown confirms the truth of the ancient Brotherhood, especially that the character of the French monk is real, even though the story of his wealth has nothing to do with it. She has an ancient treasure, but she returns either to sell letters or indulgences to people, which led to his arrest by the church. These books were forbidden by the church and confirmed their invalidity. However, the book, The Da Vinci Code, turned into one of the most famous and successful films of our time. Despite all this, the controversy remained, and the mystery of the existence of this ancient brotherhood remained mysterious and a source of great controversy. So, my friends, after everything we have reported about the Brotherhood of Zion Monastery, from the mysterious history to the big hoax by Pierre and his partners, the questions remain: is the Brotherhood of Zion Monastery really real and ancient since the 8th century? What about the Holy Grail? Is she really the offspring of Christ? So everything we know about Jesus Christ is wrong? Was the Knights Templar founded to protect the sacred lineage? Have they really been eliminated? Or do they still exist to this day? They protect the Brotherhood and the sacred line of Christ until their most public and most important appearance. Is it really a hoax devised by brilliant and deceptive minds? Or is there a hidden truth? Another mystery is related to the shadow men and secret organizations of today. Does it protect or threaten their existence? Nobody knows. Thanks for watching.